behind that mask, I'd become a high-functioning mess, perpetually overwhelmed, sad, and anxious. Epiphany by 1,000 Needles. Knowing I needed help with my mounting anxiety in the face of simple day-to-day tasks, I took the first baby step on what would become a years-long quest for inner peace. I eventually sought out many different remedies, modalities, and healers. Jacques, an acupuncturist and Chinese medicine doctor, was the first. Acupuncture seemed like an easy way to reduce what I thought was standard mom overwhelm. My plan was to lie on the table and be fixed. That's how I thought it worked. I didn't anticipate having to put any emotional honesty into acupuncture. I didn't know whom I expected to meet the first time I walked into my acupuncturist's clinic, but it definitely wasn't Jacques. He strode into the treatment room wearing khakis, horn-rimmed glasses, and a Vineyard Vines button-down, the dude uniform of suburban Connecticut, looking like someone I could have gone to college with. I went to Colgate University, a small liberal arts bastion of preppy style. As it turned out, he went there too, though he'd graduated a few years before me. Despite looking like he'd just come from a business-casual lunch at the country club, Jacques was a practicing Buddhist and healer. It was a strangely stark room, sparsely furnished with a couple of folding chairs and a table. He placed a plastic office chair in front of me and looked into my eyes. His eyes were brown, surrounded by soft crinkles. Though he'd just entered the room only a moment before, he was totally there with me. He reached out for my hand, closed his eyes, and felt my pulse. First one hand, then the other. Then he opened his eyes and asked if he could look at my tongue. As I stuck out my tongue, he took a look and started shaking his head. "You're totally overwhelmed," he said. "Overwhelmed and sad." "Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry." I felt totally exposed. Although Jacques was simply evaluating my health from a clinical standpoint, he did so in a way that felt like he was really seeing me. Was I so deprived of emotional engagement that any hint of it, even in the clinical environment of a doctor's office, felt like a tidal wave of feeling within my body? Did I even want to be seen? I had gotten myself there to his office seeking help, but suddenly being faced with what might have prompted that need and what was causing it in the first place made me want to run. As the truth of Jacques' words screamed in my gut, I felt heat rising up into my face. My eyes started to well up, and I willed myself to keep it together. I resisted the urge to flee. He let me cry for a few minutes and talk a bit until I finally got up on the table for my treatment. After that first appointment, Jacques' prescription, aside from weekly sessions with needles in my body, was to examine what wasn't working in my life and to either change it or accept it. He wanted me to find my own happiness in the life I'd built. But how could I look inward for happiness when I could barely get through the day? At first, all I could find was the other side of the equation, the struggle. I had built a beautiful, full life, but my days were filled with constant activities revolving around our kids. Taking care of them, in addition to my husband, our home, and everything else on my to-do list, took every ounce of my energy, leaving me depleted. There was always so much to do, and it felt like there was never a moment to relax or breathe. My shoulders were perpetually up by my ears, my jaw and hands always clenched. And if I did happen to have a moment to myself, I felt guilty about it, as though unproductivity of any kind was simply unacceptable. Everything fell to me, from breakfast to school, to sports to errands, to laundry to dinner prep, to cleaning up. As a result, I was cranky and irritable with the kids, and my relationship with my husband had flatlined. I simply wasn't strong enough to carry it all on my own any longer. Why I wrote this book. After that first fateful visit with Jacques, I started ever so slowly to right my ship. Years and years, a multitude of therapists, coaches, and healers